This is the story of a man who spent 15 years chasing money. Every job he took, every decision he made, every sacrifice he asked his family to bear, all of it was aimed at one thing: more money. Wow. And for 15 years, no matter how hard he chased, the money stayed just out of reach.
Oh, nice.
And understood. What he discovered was not a trick. It was not a shortcut. It was one principle so simple that most people hear it and nod and move on without realizing they have just been handed the key to everything. And it changed not just his income, but the entire way he moved through the world. Before we begin, I want to ask you something. Have you ever worked harder than anyone around you and still had less than them? Drop a yes or no in the comments. Tell me where you are watching from. And please like and subscribe. Every week I bring you stories that might change the way you see your own life. In a busy riverside city, where the streets smelled of fish and diesel and ambition, there lived a 38-year-old man named Rayon. Rayon had a wife, 2 daughters, and a reputation for being the hardest worker anyone knew. He had been working since he was 16. He had never taken a holiday he did not cut short. He had missed his elder daughter's first school play because of a shift. He had missed his younger daughter's fever night because of a deadline. His wife, Nadia, had stopped asking him to be present at things because she had learned, gently and sadly, that work would always win. And yet at 38, Rayon had almost nothing saved. The apartment they lived in was rented, the car was borrowed from his brother-in-law, and the school sent home a fee notice. Rayon's stomach would tighten in a way he had learned to hide from his face. He was not a lazy man. Everyone agreed on that. Supervisor said it. His colleagues said it. Even the men who had been promoted above him said it, in the particular apologetic tone people use when they are complimenting someone they have just passed over. He is such a hard worker. Such a shame things have not gone better for him. Rayon had tried everything he could think of. He had switched jobs 4 times, chasing better salaries, had taken weekend work that left him gray with exhaustion by Sunday evening. He'd once tried selling things online and made almost nothing after 3 months of effort. He'd read 2 books about money and found them written for people who already had some. The gap between how hard he worked and how little he had was the central wound of his life. He did not talk about it. It was there every morning when he opened his eyes, and every night when he lay awake running numbers that never added up. His wife knew. She did not say anything either. They had developed, the way long married people do, a shared silence around the things that hurt the most. One Tuesday evening, in late October, Rayon was sitting in the break room at work. The overhead light flickered. The plastic chair was uncomfortable in the way cheap plastic chairs always are designed to be. Functional, but not to allow anyone to rest too long. He was eating the lunch Nadia had packed for him, rice and a small portion of meat. The portions carefully calculated without either of them ever discussing the calculation. Across the table sat a man named Mr. Fawad. Mr. Fawad was 62. He had worked at this company for 11 years as a maintenance supervisor. He owned 3 small apartments he rented out. He had just returned from a 10-day trip with his wife to a hill station they visited every year. He dressed simply. He drove a modest car. Nobody would look at him and call him wealthy. But Rayon had slowly, over 3 years of shared break rooms and occasional conversations, understood that Mr. Fawad was free in a way that Rayon was not. Rayon watched him eat. Something about the way Mr. Fawad ate was unhurried in a way Rayon found difficult to understand. Like a man who was not calculating anything. Like a man who was simply eating. Rayon put down his fork. "Mr. Fawad, can I ask you something personal?" The old man looked up. "Go ahead. How did you do it? The apartments, the security?" "I have been working since I was 16, and I have nothing like that." "You don't seem to have worked any harder than I have." "I don't mean that as an insult. I mean, what did you understand that I didn't?" Mr. Fawad was quiet for a moment. He looked at Rayon with the calm attention of a man who had waited a long time to be asked this question by the right person.
Right.
"You want the honest answer or the comfortable one?" "The honest one." Mr. Fawad set down his fork as well. "You have been chasing money your entire life. Am I right?" Rayon nodded. "That is the problem. Money runs from people who chase it, not because the world is unfair, because of how chasing works." He folded his hands on the table. "Let me ask you something. When you have taken jobs, what question did you ask first?" Rayon thought. "How much does it pay? And when you think about your future, what are you picturing?" "Having enough. Being stable. not worrying about money. Mr. Fawad nodded slowly. Every answer you gave me is about receiving. How much will I get? What will come to me? When will I have enough? He paused. Now let me ask you this. In any of those jobs, in any of those decisions, what problem were you solving for someone else? Rayon opened his mouth, then closed it. That, said Mr. Fawad, is the principle. It's the only one that matters. He took a paper napkin from the dispenser on the table. He was a practical man, and he explained things in a practical way. Money, he said, is not a reward for effort. I know that is what we are told. Work hard, get paid. But that is not how it actually works. If it were, the hardest workers would be the richest people, and you and I both know that is not true. He wrote one sentence on the napkin and pushed it across to Rayon. Money is the receipt you receive when you have solved a problem for someone. That is all it is, Mr. Fawad said. Every single time money changes hands, every salary, every sale, every profit, someone has solved a problem for someone else, and the money is the acknowledgement of that. The bigger the problem you solve, the more people you solve it for, the more money follows. Rayon stared at the napkin. I solve problems at work every day, he said. You solve the problems your employer assigns you. That is not the same thing. You are solving problems that someone else identified, using methods someone else designed, for a rate someone else decided. You are a tool in someone else's problem-solving business, a good tool, a hard-working tool. But a tool, he said it without cruelty, simply the way you state a fact. The question is not whether you are solving problems. The question is whose problems, and who decided how much that solution is worth. Rayon felt something cold and clarifying move through him, like a window being opened in a room that had been sealed for years. So what do I do? Mr. Fawad leaned back. You stop asking what can I earn and start asking what can I solve. You look at the people around you, your neighbors, your community, the businesses near your home, the people in your industry, and you ask, what problem do they have that nobody is solving well, that nobody is solving at all? He tapped the table. That gap is that unsolved problem. That is where money lives. It has always lived there. Most people walk past it every day because they are too busy looking for a job rather than looking for a need. Rayon went home that evening, quieter than usual. Nadia noticed, but did not ask. He sat with his daughters while they did homework. He helped the younger one with her subtraction. He watched them and felt the familiar ache, the love and the fear together, inseparable, the way they always were. After they slept, he sat at the kitchen table with a notebook. He wrote a question at the top of the page, the question Mr. Fawad had given him. What problem do the people around me have that is not being solved well? He sat with it for a long time. He thought about his neighborhood. He thought about his colleagues. He thought about his brother-in-law, who ran a small shop and was always complaining that his stock records were chaos. He thought about the women in his building who made food for weddings and events, but had no way of reaching customers beyond word of mouth. He thought about the small factory near his apartment, whose owner had once mentioned, casually, that keeping track of which clients owed him money was costing him more time than doing the actual work. He filled 4 pages before midnight. He was not solving anything yet. He was only looking. But for the first time in 15 years of working life, he was asking a different question. The different question felt like different ground beneath his feet. Rayon did not quit his job. It was not reckless. He had a family, and he was careful with what they depended on. But he took what he saw on those 4 pages, and he chose the smallest, most manageable problem to begin with. His brother-in-law's shop records were chaos. Every week a small business somewhere lost money not because it failed, but because nobody was tracking what was owed, what was spent, what was wasted. Rayon had worked in purchasing for 11 years. He understood inventory. He understood supplier payments. He understood the paper trail of a small business better than most people with business degrees, because he had lived inside it daily. He offered to fix his brother-in-law's records. It's for free the first time. He spent 2 weekends building a simple system, spreadsheet, clear categories. A 1-page summary his brother-in-law could read in 5 minutes every Monday morning. His brother-in-law saved $6,000 in the first month by seeing, for the first time clearly, where his money was disappearing. The friend owned a small printing shop, called Rayon. Rayon charged him this time, modestly, but he charged. Within 8 months, Rayon had 7 small business clients who paid him a fixed monthly amount to maintain their basic financial records. It was not a fortune, but it was more than his second job had ever made him, and it cost him only his Saturday mornings and 2 evenings a week. Within 2 years, he had left his second job entirely. Within 4 years, he had left his first. He was not a rich man. He was careful not to pretend otherwise, but he was, for the first time in his adult life, free in the way Mr. Fawad had always seemed free. Unhurried, unafraid, not because he had more money than he needed, but because he had finally understood where money came from and how to keep creating it. He had stopped chasing. He had started solving. One afternoon, Rayon ran into Mr. Fawad in the car park of their old company. They had not seen each other in 2 years. They shook hands. Rayon told him briefly what had happened. Mr. Fawad listened without surprise. He nodded in the way of a man who had expected this outcome. "You understood the principle," he said simply. "I did," Rayon said. "Why don't more people know this?" Mr. Fawad thought about it for a moment, looking at the middle distance with the expression of someone sorting through a long experience. "Because we are taught from childhood to think about what we will receive. What grade will I get? Right. What salary will I earn? What will the world give me? Nobody teaches us to look outward first. To ask what the world needs from me," he shrugged, a small and final shrug. "The ones who figure it out, usually someone has to ask them a question they have never been asked before." At the right moment, Rayon thought about a Tuesday evening, a flickering light, a paper napkin with one sentence on it. "You asked me," he said. Mr. Fawad smiled. "You asked me first." My friend, Rayon's story is not about bookkeeping or spreadsheets or small business clients. It is about one shift in the way a person sees the world and everything that becomes possible after that shift. Here is the principle, plain and simple. Write it down if you need to. Money follows value. Value means solving a problem someone actually has. The bigger the problem, the more people who have it, the more money follows. That is it. That is the whole thing. Everything else, the strategies, the tools, the platforms, the advice, is just the application of this one principle in different contexts. Most people spend their entire working lives asking the receiving question, what will I get? What will I earn? What is in this for me? And the world, which does not care about what you need, gives them exactly as much as it must, and nothing more. The people who ask the giving question, what does this person need? What problem has not been solved? Where is the gap that I can fill? Those people discover something strange and reliable. The more sincerely they focus on the need of others, the more steadily money finds its way to them. Not as magic, it's logic. Because money was always just the receipt for value delivered. So here's your question for tonight. Sit with it honestly. In your daily life, in your community, in your work, in your neighborhood, what problem do you see that is not being solved well? What do people complain about that nobody is fixing? What do you know how to do that others struggle with? That gap, that frustration, that unmet need. That is not just someone else's problem. That is your opportunity. You do not need to change your life overnight. You do not need to quit your job tomorrow. You need only to begin looking outward instead of inward. To shift the question from what can I earn to what can I solve. Rayon started with a notebook and 4 pages of observations. He started with a spreadsheet for his brother-in-law. He started small and he started real and he started with someone else's problem, not his own ambition. That is how it begins. Always. If this story reached something in you, like this video right now, as your commitment to asking a different question, and leave a comment with one problem you have noticed around you that nobody is solving well, just one, I will be reading. Share this with someone who is working themselves to exhaustion and wondering why nothing is changing. Sometimes the most generous thing you can do for a person is hand them the question they have not thought to ask. And remember what was written on a paper napkin in a break room with a flickering light. Money is the receipt you receive when you have solved a problem for someone. Understand that, live by it, and money will follow you.